watching some different TV shows, and I came across this one. I've never heard of the Fear Channel, but it does exist. I mean, there's always Fox, but this is a more blatant...
Live from our Seattle newsroom, it's the Fear Channel News at 7 with Beau, Rockford, Tifffany Taylor, and commentator Mad Dog O'Malley.
This segment of Fear Channel News brought to you by Lockheed Martin, makers of the Advanced Strike Fighter. At Lockheed, we never forget who we're working for.
Also by Kellogg, Brown & Root, from mercenary personnel ready to hit the ground running to mobile catering for your troops. From pipeline maintenance to permanent airbase construction, KBR has the experience and technology you need. KBR, serving America in the desert sands and wherever Uncle Sam points us next. Division of Halliburton. Friends, welcome back to Pundit's Corner. I'm Buster O'Malley, and for our audience, I'll explain here how we work. Of course, I present the sensible views advocated by conservative Republicans and neoconservatives in this, our world's greatest nation. Right here on my left,
I'm Mike Stoner, and I represent people who are not necessarily Bushies or neoconservatives. But mostly I represent...
There you go again. So you see, the liberal elite has a voice, even here in Fear News programming. A very small voice. But when you hear Mike's shrill protests against the voice of reason, when you hear his tricky foreign way of talking, you'll instantly recognize who's really telling the truth. And I guarantee you the commentary from this end of the news desk will be absolutely impartial.
I thought this was supposed to be fair and balanced broadcasting.
Oh, Mike, you heard our slogan wrong. The Fear Channel is not fair and balanced. It's fear imbalanced.
Fear Channel News. We distort, you decide.
Now let's plunge right into our top story, shall we?
Today, aftershocks rumble across Capitol Hill after agreement was reached on shelving the so-called nuclear option. The Republican majority, led by the ambitious Bill Frith, followed the lead of moderates on both sides who crafted a compromise that would open the way for consideration of conservative candidates for the federal bench, judges favored by President Bush.
But not willingly, and Frist holds the nuclear option open for future deployment if the Senate Minority Caucus gets uppity again. This is only a one-time exercise of forbearance.
Senate Democrats gave up quite a bit in return for retaining their right to filibuster future appointments. Some of the appointments are already on their way to an up or down vote.
And that is the core issue. The upstarts are refusing to approve the president's choices as judges. Take note, these Democrat refuseniks are the same crazy baby killers who've been pushing embryonic stem cell research, abortion, and euthanasia. In fact, the whole crackpot liberal agenda. They're dangerous radicals. They're bent on tearing down the very foundations of America's greatness, and they must be stopped.
By preserving the filibuster, a 200-year tradition, they're dangerous radicals?
Shut up! Shut up, you unpatriotic little twit!
But they already approved 200 out of the 218 judicial appointments that Bush proposed.
That doesn't matter. We want all 218. Stat! Like last week. Do you realize that some of these appointments have been hung up in committee for over 4 years? There's not a moment to lose. The liberal elite has been running wild. Look at what they're doing. Activist judges are tearing down the fabric of our society, ruining everything that's right about our great land. Who's running this show anyway?
Well, I thought it was a democracy run by consensus.
Road apples. That's no way to run a railroad. That would be like putting the fox in charge of the locomotive.
Well, considering what you feel about Amtrak, that simile is very strange. But I still say America is supposed to be a democracy, and it's supposed to be run by consensus. At least that's what the textbooks tell us.
This country is no more based on consensus than this television program is, and don't you forget it.
Well, this is one battle that Doc Frist is not going to win regardless of what you say.
Shut up! Shut up! One more crack like that, and I'm going to feed your contract right into the shredder. And that's not all. Stoner, talking about the boss the way you've been doing. I could just...
the buster to take the cotton. You're watching Fear Channel News. We distort, you decide. This portion brought to you by Bechtel. At Bechtel, we get the job done. Just look at this fresh footage from Hilla, Iraq, where Bechtel just celebrated restoration of healthy water service to the village. During the 2 hours of the day when the power is available, courtesy of Paladin, this reservoir is filled with clean drinking water.
Another triumph for free enterprise. And Bechtel has pocketed a healthy multi-million-dollar fee for its services in Hilla. Now I call that a real win-win. Welcome back to Fear Channel News. Fear imbalanced reporting. Not for the faint of heart. For the news hound who can take it straight up and on the chin.
You know, any way you cut it, this week's showdown demonstrated that the president's control over Congress is not absolute. Even as Bush reaches for one-party rule, he gets slapped in the face. And his own party is in revolt over Social Security and the stem cell research issue. Not only that, in state after state, the administration's initiatives are being shot down in the courts and rejected by state legislators.
Laugh while you can, Mr. Wise Guy Liberal. What you're describing is the death spasms of the defeated secular humanist forces. But it's only postponement of the inevitable. They will be crushed in the iron grip of God's own party. Yes, as our forces overrun and subjugate the entire reaches of the world's greatest nation. When the history of our time comes to be written, this congressional scuffle will barely rate a footnote. And the chapter heading will read, America meets its destiny, the triumph of Christian democracy and acceptance of our culture of life.
You know, I have a feeling that your kind of Christianity is to democracy what military is to intelligence.
You just couldn't resist, could you?
Excuse me while I barf.
Yeah, well, you are disgusting. You know that?
You know, I'm getting sick and tired of being your punching bag. Why can't you just accept that I'm clever, that I have something to say? You treat me like I'm some kind of stupid boob.
Folks, you didn't hear this. This blue language is strictly against Fear Channel policy. And if the FCC finds us, it's coming out of your check, remember?
Blue language? The word boob?
Well, it sure did Janet Jackson's career end good. One boob, 2 seconds. One superstar is toast. Speaking of toast, a friendly word of advice. You've got to start towing the line more here at Fear Channel. I mean, there's some tolerance for liberal views. But you're consistently way over the line. Got it? So unless you want to be bounced back to the mailroom, where that long hair and lippy attitude will not be welcome.
Oh, come on, Buster. I'm a Fear Channel pundit, too. I deserve to be treated with equal respect.
Well, this is the thanks I get. This is the gratitude for pulling you up out of the mailroom and making you an anchor. I just can't believe it. After all those wardrobe tips and the old suits I gave you, now you want to be my equal? 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 You weasel-worded wimp. I could just about spit up my steak every time I see you open your mouth for another catty, elitist, liberal comment. The thought that anybody who holds those views could be my equal in this organization is beyond ridiculous. It's ludicrous, pathetic, delusional! You know, when I see you sneering at whatever's good and great in our great land, President Bush, Don Rumsfeld, and our immortal NASCAR drivers. And you're sitting there grinning like a jackal, a parasite. Oh, I can't stand it. I go all hot. I feel pins and needles all over my body. Alarm bells go off in my head. I can see visions of our country's collapse. I see queer couples copulating in the Lincoln bedroom. I see red!
Buster? Buster? Well, that's it tonight for Pundit's Corner on the Fear Channel News, brought to you by Boeing. Boeing, preparing tomorrow's Pentagon procurement personnel today. Also brought to you by ExxonMobil Chevron Texaco, EMCT, enabling America's energy habits. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for the Fear Channel Morning Snooze with Lena Tokenberg. Until then, be afraid. Be very afraid.
This has been the Fear Channel News at 7, brought to you by U.S. Army. Be all you can be in the Army. Division U.S. DoD. Fear Channel News. Mean and biased coverage for viewers who can take their news straight up and on the chin.
Oh boy, wasn't that amusing.